Good night, everybody. My name is Jackie Garcia Solano. I am a seventh semester student of the Bachelor's in Foreign Languages with emphasis in English. Now I will present my work concerning the role of the materials designer. This was done for the course Materials Design. The first question, I'm gonna answer four questions suggested in the work guide. The first one is, what was the conception of materials development decades ago? Well, for many decades, material development was merely the production, together with a wide range of learning resources to illustrate methods. However, things have started to change due to two issues. The first one was the production and interest of methodologies and materials used by teachers, and the second is the importance of including students' voices in order to update teaching materials in terms of the ways that learners would like to learn, also the way that they need to learn, and in today's increasingly globalized world we have also to take into account the needs and opinions of the students. Years ago, teachers just planned the materials that they consider that were good for students. Nowadays we need to look for the needs of them, taking into account their likes and dislikes, and also the needs that they have in the learning process and in the learning process as well concerning the language itself. What does developing materials demand from teachers? We have here 6 aspects to take into account in the designing of the materials for the class. The first one is maintaining a balance between the language learning needs, preferences, motivations, and needs of the students. We need to take into account that is very important for us as teachers when creating the materials. As I was saying in the previous slide, it is very important and necessary for us to know our students and to look for their needs. We also need to take into account that students learn at their own pace, and teachers must consider this diversity when teaching a language or developing any type of material. It is not the same material for a person who has more knowledge about the language than for a person that is starting, that is a beginner. So it is very important to be able to choose and to select the correct material according to the motivations of the students, what they like, what they prefer, something that stimulates their curiosity in the learning process. The second thing is to take into account that knowledge is socially constructed. Encouraging and developing activities in pairs and groups helps to improve the self-esteem of the self-esteem in the student and reduce the levels of anxiety. When they have a cooperative learning process, they feel more confidence in the learning environment, and also with the classmates and the co-workers that they have. That causing students, or that the students can express their ideas, cooperate with the learning of the classmates, and develop a sense of belonging to the institution. They start encourage their interest in the learning process. The third is create materials that promote enjoyable learning environments. Sometimes we teachers make the mistake of creating or choosing materials that is more about our likes and dislikes, our interest, and not the interests of our students. Sometimes they get bored with the videos and with the things that we bring into the class. That's why it is very important to be able or to assure ourselves that the material that we are choosing is according to the age of the students, it's according to their preferences, it's something that will motivate them and that they also will enjoy. Uh, that will help the motivation, the interaction, and the long-term learning. When they associate the material, when they enjoy the activities that they do in the class, they will be able to retain in their minds the knowledge that they acquire during the class. And of course, in this way, we are going to assure that the learning the learning process will be successful and meaningful. 4. Material development requires designers to be reflective and receptive agents. The agent must be more willing to take risk and make decisions relate to the way that they run classes. Uh, in this case, we teachers need to take into account that there are different ways to fulfill the same task. Sometimes we say to our students that there is just one way, the way that we prefer as teachers, the way that we consider that is the right way, but not all the time that will work with our students. We need to take into account that there are not wrong ways to do things, but different ways to do things. It is not it is not true that there is just one way to do or to pronounce or to say things. They can use synonyms, they can implement more things, and it will be right as well. 5. Create a language learning atmosphere that keeps students' attention and imagination alive. When we create material that encourage the imagination of our students and the attention of our students, that will cause in them the interest that we need to have in them. So that's why we need to fit the imagination and the models that we have in the syllabus and address this to the type of learning teaching activities. We cannot set apart the contents and the syllabus that we already have, but we can combine that with the material so that it can fit into the syllabus, but also that it can fit with the activities that we are going to give to our students. And the sixth one is see students as holistic and unique individuals, minimize differences and maximize similarities between students, match the needs, concerns, and motivation of the students in language learning, meet the institutional objectives, affective needs of the students in their teaching methodology. And it is very important for us to take into account all the aspects that we can recognize in our students. We cannot generalize the way of learning We need to know that each person is unique and each person has their own way of learning, the style. So in that way we will plan, we will be able to plan classes that includes the different styles of learning, the different ways of learning. What are the components of creating and adapting didactic learning materials? Well, the development of materials involves a rational process and artistic inspirations that together play a central role in the achievement of attractive teaching and learning resources. The components are needs assessment, establishment of goals and objectives, conceptualize the content, and design a syllabus, selection and development of materials and activities, organization of content and activities, evaluation and resources and limitations. What is the principal role of the teacher when designing language learning materials? Well, I think that the main goal of our teacher when designing material for the class is make the students get the concepts, the content that we are going to teach during the class. It is absolutely necessary for us to understand that it is not my way that will make my students to learn or to achieve the goals, the communicative goals that I have with them, but I have to be conscious that my students have their own ways of learning, so I have to seek for their needs, seek for their preferences, their likes, in order to create materials that will cause in them the interest of learning. I think the most important thing for us as teachers is to run or to encourage the interest of our students in learning a new language, in learning the contents that we present to them during the class. So in that way, the role of us as teachers is to be able to understand our students, and in that way to create materials that will help them to get the topics, to get the knowledge that we are going to present to them. So that is my opinion concerning the role of the teacher when designing language learning material. Thank you very much for your attention.